Jack Bech out of TCU is easily one of the most physical wide receivers in this draft class. He plays with incredible aggression, whether it's yards after the catch or his ability to go over the top of someone at the catch point. But he only had his first 1,000-yard season in 2024, struggling to get over 500 yards in his other 3 seasons in college. Is this going to be a big enough concern for when he gets to the NFL, or will that physicality mean that he can still win at all 3 levels? If you enjoy this content, please consider liking and subscribing, but let's take a little bit of a deeper dive into Jack Bech out of TCU. The main thing you notice when you watch Bech is just that toughness and play strength, and I think this shows at a few different levels of the game. I think he has incredible contact balance. As you'll have seen some clips at the beginning of the video, he just doesn't go down on first contact. It's almost like a running back going into contact, which makes sense given that Bech weighs in at 6'1", 215. So he does have that huge body to him and a very dense body that means that he's very difficult to bring down, as you'll have seen from a couple of the clips at the beginning of the video. The other thing is in contested catches. I think he's very able to just box out defenders, even though he doesn't have the biggest frame. Then I think the other thing which really helps with these contested catches is I think he has fantastic body control. This is a very different type of receiver to that which we've seen elsewhere in the class or elsewhere in my videos. This is very much a possession receiver, but with some ability to gain yards after the catch, although this is going to be through physicality and just refusing to go down, rather than through burst and acceleration and just duking out defenders in the open field. I also think he has an elite level of savvy to gain separation throughout the route. I think he's really good at subtle push-offs, little head fakes. I think he's a relatively nuanced route runner. Now, he's not the most explosive route runner in this class, but I think it's very much a veteran high IQ ability to run routes. And I think that plays in with his ability to understand zone coverage as well, which is very helpful for someone that's going to be able to move the chains when they get to the next level. The other thing that I'd say about him is that I think he has that clutch gene. I think he's great on 3rd and 4th down. I think he's great when you need him to make a play. He has strong hands. He's very physical. He can get open relatively quickly, but even if there's a defender on him, he's able to box them out and just win due to that play strength. So I think he's someone you can really rely on as a chain mover when you just need to get 4 or 5 yards to keep that offense rolling. The main issue that I see from Bech is just a lack of explosiveness. When I talk about physicality with him, it's all about that aggression, that toughness, and that play strength, but not about speed. And this relates to a few different types of speed. Burst, acceleration, and long speed. I think he's lacking in all 3. I think this is a relatively average athlete when it comes to the explosive side of the game. And I think he relies on that physicality to be able to then actually win in college and the way he'll win in the NFL as well. But I think this shows at different areas as well. The way that he breaks off of his routes can really lack burst and agility. He has a really real tendency to round off his routes. And I think this is because he just doesn't have the ability to snap off a route and quickly go in a different direction. I think he doesn't really have much lateral agility, and this will concern me once he gets to a level that everyone is as physical as him. The other thing is that he was a very late developer. Bech was at LSU for 2 years and then transferred to TCU for the final 2 years of his college career, but he had less than 500 yards in any of his first 3 seasons in college. Now, he did finish off his career with over 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns, but to be honest, this is a massive concern. You want to see early production from wide receivers or any college player really, and having basically nothing throughout your profile is a huge issue, the same as we saw with Isaiah Bond when I did that video. The other thing is that I think he's surprisingly not a particularly good blocker. Now, this is partly due to leverage and just not quite understanding how to use his hands in the blocking game. But for a receiver like this, who plays with exceptional play strength, it was just really surprising to me that I felt I had to comment on it, because this was something that you'd really think would be a strength of his game, but I'm not quite seeing the run blocking strength from him just yet. Now, I struggled with a playstyle comparison for Bech. The first person that I was tempted to go with was Puka Nakua, just because of that sheer physicality, but I think Puka is a much cleaner route runner than Bech, and I also think his ability to cut on a dime is much stronger. It's not Puka's greatest ability, that's very much the play strength and the physicality, but I think he plays much stronger, much quicker than Bech in the receiving game. The way that I've gone is Jacoby Myers, and this isn't necessarily due to the play strength, but it's due to the way that I think they'll be used. Jacoby Myers is a versatile chess piece that you can use all across the formation and at all three levels of the field, but he's more likely to be a reliable third down weapon than he is to be your first read on any given play. He's likely to sit in as your wide receiver 2, or if you're lucky, your wide receiver 3. And the reason that I've compared him to Bashir is because that's what I think his role is going to be in the NFL. I think this is someone with a relatively high floor who can contribute on third downs, be a reliable possession receiver, and be a chain mover for an offense, but not someone that you're going to want as your wide receiver 1 in the offense. In terms of projected draft value, he's currently projected as going towards the back of the second round, potentially midway through the third as well. This wouldn't surprise me, and it wouldn't surprise me if he dropped down the board a little bit, just because of the lack of those physical tools compared to some of the other receivers in this class. Then projected rookie draft value. I've currently got him going midway through the second round. I actually probably would take him a little bit later. I think I'm going to be slightly lower on Bech than consensus. But then in Superflex, again, towards the back of the second round, I think there's higher upside players that you can be taking at this stage. Looking at a Jalen Royals, looking at a Jalen Knoll, lots of Jalen's to be honest. Even Jaden Higgins is probably a higher upside version of the same thing. So Bech, I'm a little bit lower on. Not to say that I hate him. I just think that lack of burst, explosivity, and acceleration is going to hurt him when he gets to the league. Do you think I'm too harsh on Bech, or do you agree that that lack of quickness is going to hurt him in the NFL? If you've enjoyed this content, please consider liking and subscribing. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.